Evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 20th, 2025 work session of the Town of Ossining. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You ask us if we're here. Well. All right, Angelo,
Here.
Greg Meyer,
Present.
Matthew Weiss.
Present.
Jen is late, but we'll be here later. And Council Supervisor Feldman. Yeah, that's me. I'm here. Okay. If anybody hasn't voted yet, school budget, Ossining High School, you have until 9 p.m. Be there or be square. And the library budget as well. Okay. This Memorial Day, May 26th, 9:30 a.m. There's a parade and service. The parade starts at Callum Avenue, going down Croton, down Main Street, down Spring Street, ending at Nelson Park. It's in observance of the Memorial Day holiday of in honor of those who gave all for our freedoms. All of the town and villages offices will be closed on Monday. Compost Give Back Day is returning this Friday and Saturday for those people who participate in the food scraps program and did not get a chance to pick up their compost last weekend. It will be this Friday and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Cedar Lane Park. We invite everyone to join us Saturday, May 24th, as we celebrate our veterans with the military banner event. This day marks the second annual launch of the military banner installations, this time on South Highland Avenue, or on Highland Avenue, the entirety. Community members will present the names of the service people on the banners, along with their military branch and years of service. The program will begin at 10 a.m. at the Ossining Public Library, Birdhouse Theater. Westchester County Parks will be running a Playland Job Fair, June 7th. There will be on-the-spot interviews for the first 100 people who attend. For more information, please visit playland.com. And Playland will be free this Memorial Day weekend. Westchester Collaborative Theater is also continuing its Music in the Box program with La Pompeii Attack, playing on Saturday, May 24th at 7 p.m. Mike Risco Music is hosting a free workshop about mental health in the music industry on Saturday, May 31st at 11:30 a.m. For more information or to sign up, please contact them at mail@riscomusic.com. Ossining Summer Camp registration is still open. The camp runs from June 30th through August 8th. For more information regarding prices and registration, please visit thevillageofossining.org. Neighbors Link is always a great resource for information for our immigrant population. Please visit the website at www.neighborslink.org. Click on resources to register to attend informational webinars about the latest Knowing Your Rights in English and in Spanish, and to find contact information for trusted professionals. The New York State Attorney General has also listed a list of resources with the goal of protecting the rights of New Yorkers, regardless of immigration status. For more information, please go to ag.ny.gov. And for immigration information, /resources/individuals/immigrants-rights. As always, our Ossining Public Library will be hosting many events, including movies, crafts, meditation, tutoring, yoga, book clubs, and more. Please see their website, ossininglibrary.org, for more information. I believe they also have the school's artwork up in the downstairs area. Always one of my favorite exhibits. The Loft LGBTQ+ Community Center has events and programs, resources and presentations, all dedicated to providing support to everyone who's a part of the LGBTQ plus community, including many virtual in-person support groups and clubs for a multitude of different topics. Please check out their website at loftgaycenter.org for more information. And June 1st will be the kickoff of a month-long festival. Anyway. No. June 1st is the Pride Month. Thank you. Pride Month kickoff in Westchester County, outside the Westchester County offices. There'll be a whole parade. All right, and there are more fun and interesting events being held locally. You can look at the supervisor's update and the supervisor's webpage to see them. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna do that. Okay. First, all right. First up, we have a presentation. I don't think, is Nikita here online? Okay, we have a presentation about the Harriet Tubman Underground Railway Byway Project by Nikita Jankowski. This is, well, she can describe it. The Underground Railroad came right through our area. And we are excited to hear about the commemoration.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, this is Nikita Jankowski. Hi, thanks for having me here today. I'm representing the Underground Railroad Consortium of New York, and I also have my colleague Sage on here as well. So if he can also jump in if I was able to say anything.
Sure. Can you recognize him as well?
I am online.
There you go.
Okay. If you give me 1 second, I'm going to see if I can get this presentation going.
You there?
I'm there. Give me 1 more second. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I can also help with sharing the presentation if needed.
What's that?
Listen, I can also share the presentation if I have share permissions, just in
Okay.
case.
Yeah, I think I have it now. Okay. Do I have share privileges?
Hold on, we're working on it. Our regular tech person is not with us.
Hey, Sage, do you have your presentation?
You know?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because
Want me to check it out?
I have one from Karen, but I think that's the wrong one.
For the tech team, if you share privileges with the Underground Railroad New York State Zoom profile, I can start sharing.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay, great.
Appreciate it. No problem. Okay, where do you want us to start? Are you doing it? No, you're not. Okay.
Okay, so Sage, do you want to go into the history, the background of the Underground Railroad Consortium of New York, and then I'll jump in after that?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, everyone, thank you so much for the opportunity to present to this organization. My name's Sage. I represent the Underground Railroad Consortium of New York State, along with Nikita, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit. But we work remotely across the state. We're comprised of museums, research institutes, and different organizations that all promote Underground Railroad history in New York State. We have external partnerships with destination marketing organizations and other groups who are also interested in promoting this history. We came together in 2015 to share marketing, research, and initiatives. And over the last couple of years, we've had the good fortune of working with other organizations like Nikita's that are supporting us. And we are aiming to bring a Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad scenic byway to New York State. So I'll let Nikita take it away right now, and I'm here for other sections.
All right, so whoever's controlling, if you wouldn't mind going over to the next slide for us. So the Underground Railroad Byway of New York State. If do I have control or?
I can if you give me a
Controlling it.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
do the next one.
Sure. So the byway of what is a byway? It's a public road that's self-driven, and it's in communities across the state, and it's a representation of the region's scenic and recreational natural history and archaeological significance. And it's an economic driver, and we like to see it also as another tourism product, because essentially that's what it is. Next slide, please. And so the byway designation process is, to make sure that the byway is deemed eligible, it has to go through several processes. And one of the things is reaching out to New York State Department of Transportation, and they are in full support of this byway. And especially when you see the economic impact and things like that, a lot of research was gone into it. Research as well as looking at different places that already have an established similar byway that's doing very well, and that there's one in Maryland right now that has been in place for years and is proven to pour in like millions of dollars throughout the state. And their byway is about 125 miles long. This proposed byway for New York State would be 550 miles long. If you can go to the next slide. And so the history, like the brief history with this, right, like as I was just mentioning right now, it kind of started back in 2023. They started working the first phase of the corridor management plan, and that's going to be the backbone and the information that's put together to make this byway present. We're now into the 2025 phase. If you want to go to the next step. In the 2025 phase, to make this byway relevant is as you have to get resolutions passed in each municipality along the state. And this route would go up from New York City, up the Hudson, through to the capital region, and then along through central New York, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, Niagara Falls. And the whole point of this would be, once it's established as a state route, the way that's at the same time that New York State municipalities are trying to make this an official byway across the state, you have several throughout several neighboring states doing the same thing. One of them being Pennsylvania. They're working on their Harriet Tubman byway, as well as Delaware and New Jersey. And once those are all done, the whole plan is also to make them connect and be an international byway along with Maryland. And this is the route you see right here proposed. As I mentioned before, it's 550 miles long. And these are some of the locations that it would connect to. That's not all, because there's over 178, almost 180 municipalities altogether. But these are just some of the top ones that are like just that kind of stand out. If you go to the next slide, please. And we can keep going. Yeah, and this is just talking about the goals. If you want to keep going, the goals that is part of this is part of the tourism the corridor management plan to preserve the history, to develop authentic and informative experiences, market the byway to visitors, and to cultivate and maintain diverse and inclusive byway. And we can go to the next slide. And so this is just kind of giving you some background toward the economic impact. So Maryland's byway saw like over 251,000 new members to the byway, and it contributed 23 million in sales annually to the area. There's a parkway in Natchez that's 440 miles. That's contributed 18.4 billion. So this just kind of gives you the numbers and the backgrounds that we're looking at, which is kind of fueling some of this, because who doesn't like to have a little bit of tourism money poured into their region? I'll go to the next one. So as I was mentioning before, there's a process that we go through. Once we get the resolution, the first step was establishing the corridor management plan, and then also presenting it to New York State Department of Transportation to make sure that we do have a byway that is worth investing into and making it official. So now that we've made it from New York State, gotten the go ahead from New York State Department of Transportation, our next goal in this is to get resolutions passed, which is why we're here talking to you today. And we have right now over 70, almost 75 municipalities across the state that have passed it. We have a few whole counties that have passed it, including Madison County in Western New York, and Erie County in Western New York, and Seneca County in Central New York. We have a lot of other counties that are very close to finishing up all the municipalities in their counties, but we're still working. We've had several counties pass it. When I say full counties, I mean like the 5 other municipalities within those counties that have also passed. So then after those, after these resolutions are passed, by June 15th, that's our cutoff date, and we will be presenting these to the Department of Transportation, and then we will start having public meetings this summer in different locations throughout the state to get public buy-in, and also working on getting the tourism assets from different regions throughout the state. By early January, they're planning to introduce the byway to the legislation to make it to vote to make it an official byway in 2026. So if you want to look at where we are right now, where the route goes, you can see in Ossining, if you can scroll in a little bit, you can see the route. And you can see this is a live Google Earth map so that you can actually zoom in as close as you want to see exactly which roads this passes through and who will be affected by it.
And we're happy to share links to this
We have
presentation and also to the route for anyone that's interested in kind of seeing where it might impact other areas.
So yes, key components of the corridor management plan that I was mentioning, because this corridor management plan is still under process, but you can find a lot of these documents on the website. Resources and interpretation, stewardship plan, the marketing and promotion plan. We're still working with different tourism agencies across the state to develop the tourism management plan. And then like I mentioned, this summer, we're going to be doing public meetings, having public buy-in, and then working on the traffic and safety plan. That's also part of a lot of what's going on right now with the New York State Department of Transportation, signage plan along the route, and also working on getting some financial resources. There is no obligation for any municipality to contribute financially. If it's optional, there will be opportunities for promotional buy-in, but it is not mandatory. Go to the next slide, please. Yes. And so some of the more more of what's part of this tourism, the corridor management plan is the resource interpretation, stewardship plan, traffic and safety plan, marketing, promotions, signage, and like I mentioned, financial resources. Keep going. And so some of the tools that we'll be using, physical sites, like I mentioned, the assets, where we have kiosk signage, interpretive centers. So the technologies, looking at maybe developing an app. We already have a website that's out there and maybe some audio tours. And this could develop in some, as I mentioned, tourism products, the human guides, and maybe even some annual events on along the different sites along the corridor. And so if you keep going. Yeah, so this just kind of breaks down some of the other things we were talking about, the traffic and safety plans, things like that. So we can actually end it there if you have any questions.
So, all right, so thank you for your presentation. When I first looked at this, when you sent it a couple months ago, it looked like the only thing that you wanted from the municipality was to assure that there would be no billboards along the byway. Which we have codes against billboards anyway, so I didn't think you really needed anything else from us. As did most of the municipalities in Westchester. But we did learn at the Westchester Municipal Official Meeting the other day that you do need us to do a resolution and support so that you can get your designation, which is why we're here today, so that the board members can hear about the project. So what you're saying is after you get your designation as a byway, you might approach the village, which most of your areas in the village, we have a very small piece in the town, for signage, or perhaps work with one of our historians on an event or something. Is that what you're suggesting?
Right. So yes, the first step would be for you to pass the resolution, sign it, get it notarized, send it to me, and then we will share it with the New York State Department of Transportation, New York State Department of Transportation. And then from there, we would, once it's passed, once we have all the resolutions, the next step would be to get the tourism assets and working with the tourism partners in your region, as well as the historians and anyone else has them buy into the byway.
Okay, but there's no obligation.
No obligation, no. The only thing we need is just a resolution first.
And just to add to that, we are still holding public sessions in the region. So at the beginning or very end of this month, beginning of end of June and beginning of July, we're holding public sessions where we encourage local municipal leaders, local nonprofit organizations, community organizations that are interested in learning more and maybe seeing how they can get involved before we actually get to the designation. But because this is a super transparent and ground level initiative, New York State DOT wants to make sure that we have the resolutions for the communities that we're talking about working with. So this is really the first step. And at any point in time, if you're interested in contributing ideas to our overall corridor management plan, we welcome them, because you will have hopefully resolved to support the byway initiative.
Traditionally, as a community, we like to support all the different layers of our history and let our residents know the backstory to all the different things that have happened here over the couple hundred years. From the prison on up, or down, if you will. So there's a lot of we're a very diverse community. There's a lot of different groups in our community, and each of them have a story. So we're happy to take part in, or at least I'm happy to, take part in hearing more about the history of the area and our part in it. Matt, do you have any questions? Okay.
No, I agree with you. No, I agree with you also.
Okay. Christy?
I just wanted to clarify because I'm the attorney for the board, Christy Adana. I just had a question because the supervisor referenced billboards, but the resolution, the template resolution says advertising signs, and I wasn't clear from the map what area we're talking about. Is any of it on North State Road where there would be any sort of commercial or any sort, I don't know where this area is. It wasn't clear from the map.
My impression is it went right up Route 9.
So there's nowhere in that area where there's any commercial businesses that would, because like I said, the resolution says advertising signs.
Well,
So I just want to
so-
make sure that we're clear on what the town is committing itself to so that we can make sure we're abiding by it.
So I can just, I
Yeah.
can just read to you from what the Department of Transportation says. It's a provision within the Title 23 of the United States Code that addresses outdoor advertising control, particularly concerning scenic byways. This subsection prohibits erecting new off-premises advertising signs along designated scenic byways and restricts modifications to existing signs. The intent is to preserve these routes' natural beauty and scenic quality by limiting visual distractions. New signs allowed under Section 131C include directional and official signs, notices, sales or lease signs, and on-property signs. And the other thing too I can add to this is that this is temporary signs are excluded as well. So if they're permanent signs, they're not allowed, but temporary signs would be allowed to be erected after this.
Can you scroll that map down a little bit, because we're actually looking at the village right now? No, I mean,
Other way.
the other way. Like we're not actually
There you
looking
go,
at the
that's
area
us.
that's in the town.
Crotonville is us.
That's that little
Scroll
part,
in.
that's what we're talking about.
Scroll in. The pretty purple area, that's us. That's us.
So I just want to make sure the board doesn't see any problems with that area.
Okay. So-
Not being able to have any advertising signs of any kind.
I mean, that area happens to be DOT, a church, but if the church wanted to put up a new sign, you're saying that would be a problem?
I think
No,
we'll
so
be able
it's-
to.
Yeah, they would be, because if it's on their property, that's fine. It's off premises, that's the issue.
So in the easement area? In the New York State easement area then, the few feet that is on either side of the road?
Right.
Okay, I'm just clarifying.
We have an easement on that,
That all roads have
a little town easement.
well.
Yeah,
state easement,
Yeah, that's right along Route 9.
yeah,
Mhm.
that would be a state easement.
Okay, as long as the board's comfortable with it, I just wanted to clarify what we were committing to.
And adding to that too, there are other roads that we're working with where there are existing billboards. Anything that exists gets grandfathered in. So the restriction is just, sorry about that. Restriction is just on permitting for new billboards.
Well, we don't permit billboards, but our businesses may, change and they might want to put a sign up advertising, where their business is outside the front of their business would be something we're gonna insist on them being able to do on their land.
Right.
And we don't allow signs in the easement areas anyway, so, or the state doesn't allow signs in the easement areas, to my knowledge. Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
Nope, good.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And have you talked to the village? I know I saw you start a conversation. Have you presented to them yet?
We have not presented to them yet, but we have several people are reaching out, and I know someone has reached out in that area as well. Joyce, the historian for the village, that's who I've been talking to there.
Okay, she'll get you on the agenda for them. Thank you.
Thank
They are-
you.
They are the greater area for the map. They have a much bigger portion of your map than we do.
Okay, great.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Next up, we have a presentation, the 2025 Residential Solarize Campaign by Sustainable Westchester. We did have a big solar campaign. I don't know how many. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting old. All right, 2015, 2018, it was very successful.
I shared this slide deck with Mark.
Yeah, and yes,
Yeah, I'm like getting ready, prepared as soon as you everything. Yeah, that's what it's. Just follow our. You can always project. No, that doesn't work. Oh, okay.
we try to.
Be there, yeah.
So we just heard a presentation from lunch. Oh, yeah, sorry. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Carmen Pei, and I'm a senior program manager within our solar department at Sustainable Westchester. And I'm here with my colleague Enrique Aguas. He's a program coordinator for our solar department. Okay, so we just took a presentation for our lunch and learns that we're hosting for all municipalities to join. We held it the past 3 Fridays.
Nice.
Okay, so today we're gonna be speaking with you about our residential solarized program. We're gonna go over who Sustainable Westchester is, what are our New York State goals, and how the residential solarized program aligns with it, how the residential solarized program works, who our installer partners are, how we qualify them, and how you can get involved. All right, so Sustainable Westchester is a nonprofit located in Mount Kisco, New York. We have 44 municipalities in Westchester that are our members, and we also have the county that is our member. And so we offer environmentally sound and fiscally sound programs that help our communities approach a more sustainable future. And a lot of them focus on the clean energy transition, such as this residential solarized program. Thank you. Okay, so we have a huge challenge ahead of us. Within the next 5 years, we want to try to meet the New York State Climate Act. And so, which says by 2030, we should have 70% of our electricity sourced from renewable sources. And also, by that same time, we would want to achieve a 40% greenhouse gas reduction, for our emissions level from the 1990 levels. Unfortunately, right now, 30% of our electricity comes from renewable sources, so we're far behind. Thank you. So a closer look to how we are doing in terms of our New York State targets for 2030 for climate is that we're not doing so great. We have emissions reductions and things like energy storage goals are behind. We are doing better with renewable generation. We are at 76% of target with renewable generation, but it's important to know that you're seeing both a blue bar, a yellow bar as part of that 76% of target. And the blue bar is what has been achieved, built, and operating. And the yellow is a pipeline, so meaning projects that have not been built yet. So it's important that we get that yellow to be blue as well as like the gray to turn into blue so that we're reaching our goals. And in addition to that, we're going to narrow it into another target within renewable generation that is the distributed solar. And that is encompasses programs such as community solar or projects such as community solar, which you may be familiar with, and also residential installations. And for that goal, we are at 93% of target. And again, I just want to point out that we want to make sure that the yellow bar and the gray turn into blue. And so this is why we are approaching a residential solarized campaign right now to help that happen. Okay, so in Westchester County, we use a lot of energy. We use about 5,800 gigawatts hours per year. And unfortunately, with the solar that is installed within Westchester County, we would only offset 6% of that need. So that's a very small number and we have a long way to go and anything helps. So we'll go to the next one. All right, so to hit our fair share of statewide solar goal by 2030, we need to solarize 40,000 homes. So out of the about 200,000 owner occupied units within the county. So currently we have about 13,000 that have already been solarized. Going back to the first bullet, 40,000 out of 200,000 is about 20%. Just want you to keep that number in mind. And so now I want you to look at the image towards the right on my run. And you'll see a few circles. There are 20 homes there and 7 of them have solar panels on them. So that's about 35%. And this is a community in Croton that has streamlined the permitting, and they have done it at an early stage. So that's kind of like where we want to be, right? Above 20% if possible. So it's important for us to ensure that we have a streamlined permitting process
I
within all of our
believe we have
municipalities. Great.
For a home,
For
not for a large.
Right, and which is good. So for the residential solarized program, that is the permitting, streamlined permitting process that we would want. And we are also happy to observe your laws, or if you have any questions for us, we are here for as a resource.
We pretty much took what NYSERDA was recommending,
Great.
I would say 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, and is the cap 25 kW?
I would absolutely.
All right, we'll verify that.
I believe you guys did take up the certain model law, the solar law. I'm not sure if you guys took the older one, that was just capped at 12 kWdc. The new one has 25 kWdc, which is just a copy for the larger solar system. So today, right, it's technology has evolved, so you're going to put more solar on the roofs now.
But
Here's
you
a-
mean, sorry, Supervisor, go.
Good. So here's a question. Have we gotten to the point where homes are allowed to generate more electricity than they use and feed back into the grid? Has kind of gotten over that yet?
Yes, we've gotten to that stage. Yeah, so
So-
so basically the way that would work is through essentially net crediting. So people would be able to basically whatever amount of electricity that they're over generating, their meter will essentially roll backwards, and they'll have like a negative kilowatt hours. And then the following month, let's say your system underproduces, that is then applied to the following month to then lower their usage dues to the utility. So sort
Alright,
of
so
that's sort of
currently
the-
it's like a bank and
Yes,
not,
you're
but they
essentially-
don't get a check at this point.
yeah, you're still banking the credits essentially. But yes, you can have a system that produces more than what you uses. Yeah, and you just have that be credit essentially right now.
And right now, because of how the structure is, we usually are recommending that you're sized for what you use, not oversized. So you don't buy more solar than you need. Just because it would be more, I think, financially feasible to achieve that installation. And also it just already offsets what you're using. Sure.
Yeah, I would also add that, like, for the most part, most homes won't be able to host as much solar as what they use. Most for usage for the most part for the last 10 years has increased dramatically, the residential level. So not all homes are going to be able to just completely offset their solar. You know, there are some scenarios when people do get lucky, but that's not always the case. So, yeah.
I do know that for my home and many in the unincorporated area, I have a lot of very large trees. I was told I can't have solar, you know, the moss on my roof. Told them no.
So I don't see any like restrictions or caps on the amount of energy for a tier 1 solar energy system in the town's code. You were talking about 12 versus 25?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the town board adopted this back at the end of 2018, so it may be older, but I don't see that there's anything in the definitions or in the code that puts a limit on what would be considered tier 1, which would be building permit
Mhm.
only.
Right.
So if you guys have updated regulations that you want to send us, that you're recommending the town board consider, that would be helpful.
Right, so part of this process for residential solarized is that we're going to be looking at your permitting process. So as soon as we have some feedback for you or any recommendations, we will make those available. Yeah. Okay, so this is a more of like a show and tell portion of our presentation, so hopefully we can do this. So we want to like click on the infogram link that you see there. So we've created an infogram with data that is accessible to us via NYSERDA as well as the county.
So
And maybe it goes there.
Left.
On the left, Evan.
We're gonna have a few of these, so maybe we'll limit how much show and tell we'll do. We'll just do this one and then the other parts will just. Or we could skip it, and so basically
with
what
that.
we were going to show
Not gonna
you,
work.
Okay.
That's all right.
All right, so what we were going to show you was one that we are keeping track of within each zip code. Within like communities, we are keeping track of how many residential installations there have been based on NYSERDA's data. And also within like towns and cities where villages are included within the towns, we're also keeping track of the percentage of solar adoption. And this is based on using homeowner occupied residences. So in NYSERDA, so it's not perfect, but it's an indication of how we're doing. And the highest percentages that we've achieved within Westchester County at around 12%. So remember that 20% that I mentioned before, we want to really push all of our communities further. And many of our communities are also at like 3%, 4% level. So they really need to go even further. And
So do you know offhand where the town is?
not
without
right,
being
but
able
we
to
were
click that
hoping-
link?
Maybe.
75 zip codes, but I'm happy to take
But I think the solar adoption, he'll look into it while I.
Oh,
can-
by zip code, so we're looped in with the village as well, okay.
Well, we have one where it's the town and it includes the village. So that.
The village of Ossining, but not the village of Briarcliff, which has a different zip code.
Oh, yes. So we have two data sets. The zip code is the numbers, like the specific number of installations. And then the other part, which is a percentage, is the percentage of solar adoption, and that is by town, which is inclusive of the villages within the town.
Both villages, okay.
He's trying to like plug in
That's okay.
for it. Okay, so
I got her now. So for Ossining Town, Ossining Village and Briarcliff, your solar adoption is 12.5%. So you're up there. We want to get you this one.
yes. All right, so now we're going to be looking at installations done per year. And you're going to see that it was low in that bar, that graphic that you see to my right. And then if you go towards 2015 to 2018, you'll see an uptick. And we want to share that we did a solarized campaign around that time, so we've contributed to that uptick. Now I'm going to fast forward to 2024, and you'll see it that capacity is for 2,000 residential installations.
We did another push last year or the year before.
Oh, great. That's amazing. That's wonderful that you're doing this, because it's great that we are seeing more solar installations through time. Now for 2025, we want to increase what resulted in 2024 by 50%. So we are aiming for 3,000 installations in that year. And so how are we going to do this? Well, it's going to happen through like how the market is progressing, but also through this residential solarized campaign that we're conducting. It's a Westchester-wide campaign with the support of the towns, villages, and cities within the county. And we are very happy to share that 22 municipalities have already expressed interest. And so we're going through the phases right now. And to tell us more about how the program operates, Enrique will take over.
Thank you.
All right, so as Carmen mentioned, rather than basically municipally focused campaigns, this residential solarized campaign in 2025 is going to be a Westchester-wide campaign, meaning that anyone in the county could participate, regardless of whether the municipalities are sort of promoting the program and stuff. Anyone could just sort of knock on our door and say, hey, I want to solarize my home. So we try to make it as simple as we could for the interested party, the homeowner. Basically, all they have to do is go on our website and fill out an intake form. That's going to contain very basic information, just like name, contact, address, and stuff when they want to be contacted. That knocks on our door, my door, Carmen's door, Leo's door, back in the office to put an assessment together. Essentially, we're going to look through the Westchester GIS system at their home and do a solar sketch or assessment to basically determine how much solar they can fit on their roof. Once we have done that, we will prepare sort of a production report that we will then share with the homeowner That's going to contain production information on the solar that we sketched, alongside some information on the current incentive landscape, both at the federal and at the state level. So once we send that, so we do that through email. Once the customer sees that and reviews it on their own, we then schedule, or they schedule a phone call with us, usually done through Zoom or Google Meet, where we sort of go over the assessment. We have a back and forth. They ask us their solar questions. They may ask us about specifically the assessment, maybe the incentives, maybe the, and then we will go back to them and sort of ask them about their electricity usage, so we can sort of size their system appropriately should we need to. We may ask them about their roof condition, whether their electric service panel has amperage to actually host the panel, et cetera. So we have that back and forth. And then should things look good, we then refer them to a group of installers that we work to that. So once we connect them with the installers, they'll receive proposals from these installers. They're competing with each other, assuring hopefully a good price for the customer. Then we are also making ourselves available to the customer to actually review the proposals that they receive from the installers that we work to vet. And on our part, we'll be checking in with the installers. You know, as soon as we're sending people should they decide to move forward with one of the proposals, we're checking in with the installer to make sure that the process is going and the project is sort of going to plan and all that. Slide. So what are the benefits to the homeowner? So it's very likely that the only renewable energy purchase that people will make in their life will be a solar panel or solar panels on their home. So kind of like buying a home or like purchasing a car, just having someone by your side to sort of support you through the process is helpful, right? We're creating a free unbiased assessment for the customer to sort of tell them whether they can get solar or not. And then we are obviously open at any point to answer any other questions about either the incentives or essentially the scope of the project and things like that. I should point out that you are able to get a free assessment from any solar firm that you work with for the most part. When you knock on the door, they will provide you one, but we are providing an unbiased solar assessment. So at the end of the day, we're not necessarily trying to sell you the system. We're going to tell you whether you're good for solar, whether you're not good for solar. So we're going to be honest about that. You know, you may have a heavy tree canopy around your home that may not allow you to hold solar. Maybe your roof is just not adequate for it. So we're going to be honest about those things. And then it's good to see that the solar industry has developed to have such a currently like a really large pool of installers that work in an area. Anywhere from 45 to 45 different firms actually operate in Westchester County. That for some people can be a bit overwhelming to have to pick and choose out of that big pool. So we have narrowed down that to the installers that we have worked to vet. That is 4 installers right now. And then also homeowners get to enjoy the general benefits of solar, right? They get to save on their electricity costs. We're not seeing those get any cheaper. And also they get to reduce their carbon footprint. And then looking at it from a bigger picture, obviously the more solar adoption that happens in your community, you're reducing the overall carbon footprint of your community, but then you're also creating jobs for people to work on the roofs, good jobs like electricians, roofers, etc. So, yeah, next slide. In the conversation of carbon reductions, we're partnering with another Westchester-based environmental nonprofit called Air 100. They have a carbon tracker app that allows homeowners to track their household emissions. So should anyone move forward with the solar, for a solar project, they can see how that's lowering their carbon emissions. Maybe they don't want to move forward with solar, but they got an EV. They can also see how that's affecting their household emissions. So it's just a free, neat tool that they can access at any point of the process, or even if they're not engaging with us through residential solar. Okay, next slide. I think that's what you pick up, Carmen.
So we can mention that we have 4 installer partners, and for the partners, we have Green Hybrid Energy Solutions based in White Plains, New York, Infinity Energy based in Mahwah, New Jersey, New York State Solar Farm based in Modena, New York, and Sun Blue Energy based in Sleepy Hollow, New York. all of these firms have over 14 years of experience.
Partner.
So there are installer partners, that's the name we provided them. So we wanted to give them a name, so we call them installer partners.
So recommended, but that people
Yeah.
can use
So-
anyone they want though.
So folks can use anyone they want, obviously, but we're going to be providing them connection to these 4 installers because we vetted these 4 installers. And I'm about to explain how we vetted them. So we went through 10 criteria. We looked at their background information, their firm history, their solar industry credentials. We looked at their work to see how they were doing in terms of the quality of their work. And we were able to do that by examining pictures of their work. We also ensured that they have experience in the residential market and also an emphasis in the residential market. And so we required for them to have a minimum of 20 projects per year installed within the residential market. And we also wanted to ensure that they had a familiarity with the Westchester jurisdictions and required that they had experience with a minimum of 20 jurisdictions. Finally, not finally, sorry. We also looked at their emphasis on home ownership of the solar as opposed to leasing and power purchase agreements. In terms of the customer experience, we looked at their proposals, contracts, their owner manuals, just to review how that information is shared with customers. And finally, we looked at their pricing. We were trying to figure out like what is their pricing compared to the average of the rest of the region, and we ensured that they were below that average. Okay, so now we're going to speak about the residential solarized campaign. We have 3 main roles. I'm going to be speaking about Sustainable Westchester's role and our installer partners role, and Enrique is going to be mentioning the role of the municipalities, which is very important. So Sustainable Westchester will provide promotional materials for the campaign. We will be available for local meetings such as this one or other local meetings within communities. We will be providing participating municipalities a quarterly progress report stating how many installations there have been within your community. And also, okay, so moving on to the next role, sorry, that would be the solar installer partners. They're going to collaborate with Sustainable Westchester on the campaign. They're going to provide proposals, as Enrique shared, with the customers that are interested in receiving solar evaluation and eventually an installation. They're also going to take part of report meetings with Sustainable Westchester so that we can follow along how each customer is progressing through their company experience. And they're going to be compensating Sustainable Westchester for any successful project that is completed. It's going to be a $500 per completed project. And this really ensures that the organization can operate the program. When we first had the residential solarized campaign, we had a large grant that we were able to use to kickstart the program. Eventually, when that grant fund ran out, we worked with a similar success fee. And so, again, it's very important for us to be able to operate the program. So that is why we would be collecting this funds. Thank you. All right, Enrique.
All right, so now on to the roles for the municipalities. It's a simple ask, but it's a pretty important one. So what do we want from the municipalities? Just to promote our program. So we're coming up with all kinds of promotional materials. If any of you guys follow us on social media, you may have seen Carmen, myself, and Leo carrying around a solar panel all over Westchester County. So just things like that we're sort of putting together that can be shared around, flyers, graphics, and stuff. And we'll be sharing that with you so it can be shared through your regular means, whether that's newsletters, e-blasts, social media, etc. And then, as mentioned before, we want to be having conversations with municipalities to try to streamline their residential solar permitting process. As I mentioned before, you guys have a pretty good solar penetration numbers. So maybe that's not the case for you guys, but we want to have sort of just with all the municipalities within our membership to just have that conversation. And then, you know, through participation in the program, communities get to see their solar adoption climb, but then they also get to, you know, the more solar that happens in your community, you know, it is an uptake in solar system applications. So that's a little bit of money you're collecting that way. Next slide. And then, so what are our sample promotional materials? This was one where we would showcase like a lot of things. We would go on our website, show you what our website is like. We would show you our marketing folder so you can see what that's looking like. But we can show you just for now our flyer that we have available that has the steps for the process and just a general blurb on residential solar. But we're happy to share that sort of that promotional materials folder with you so you can take a look at the material that we have available. We're populating that with a lot more stuff as the program develops. But yeah, we're just excited to have municipalities support us with this effort just through that promotion. So yeah, next slide. So what are next steps? So we recently put out a press release where some municipalities have already that expressed interest in participating in the program and promoting the program. Were mentioned and quoted. So we're just reaching out to municipalities to let us know if they want to take part in the program to basically promote the initiative. Also, we're like a shout out to any sustainability groups out there. We're happy to do presentations like these as well with you guys so we can you know, promote the program like we're doing now. So yeah, that's all.
I have questions.
Sure.
Do you walk our residents through any rebate or incentive programs?
We sure do. Yeah. So
So you make sure that they get the most back or the
yeah,
best,
so
both the best price and the most rebate and tax incentives, and
yeah.
explain to them how to do that?
Yes, so during that initial conversation that we have with the customer, obviously we're providing that that assessment that has information on that, but then we're also walking, like you said, walking them through sort of what the incentive process looks like to see what tax credits are available, what incentives are available for solar. So that's something that we're going through with them. And then
Do you have that available in a bilingual?
Yeah, we can have that available as a bilingual
Or even more languages? We got it.
we could certainly try.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Spanish speaker. Carmen's also a Spanish speaker, so we're happy to do Spanish presentations as well, or even create Spanish materials, other languages. I'm sure we could do it as well.
You don't already have Spanish materials?
We do already.
Okay.
have
Spanish materials, yes.
Yeah, some of our colleagues speak Mandarin, for example. Oh, sorry, yeah, some of our colleagues speak Mandarin and other languages, so we could, if you let us know there is a specific language that you would want us to have, we can work on pieces on that.
Just to add to that, how do the incentives look like? What presently, the tax credits or the incentives? Where are they presently?
Yeah, so right now at the state level, there is an incentive through the New York Sun program that's about to be exhausted. So that's 15 cents of every watt that you install on your roof. That's going to be honestly exhausted within the next few weeks. We're sort of just looking at the NYSERDA website to see when that's going to run out. Actually, a lot of installers are already sort of taking it off their buckets of incentives because they just want to, they don't want to sort of promise essentially like that they're going to be able to get the incentive because it could be exhausted at any point. But that is one that exists. There's also a tax credit through New York State of 25%. So that's a investment tax credit capped at $5,000. So if you have a system that's $20,000, you essentially get the max incentive at five grand. And then there's also the biggest of incentives, that's the federal investment tax credit of 30%. So, and I should note that both of these are non-refundable tax credits. So they basically just offset what you would owe to the government.
And if a homeowner, I think as I've been hearing, if a homeowner needs a roof before they put this on, is that something that you also would assist with, I think, before you put solars on somebody's roof?
Yeah, so most of the solar installers that we're working with and suggesting, and even ones outside of the ones that we work with, are usually working with roofers and have roofing expertise on their team to be able to assist with that. Because that is something that comes up quite a lot, you know, people are like hoping to get solar, but you know, you may need a roof before you even go forwards with that. So yeah, good point. Yeah.
Okay, and the town is gonna be working with, Leo or one of you on, one of our buildings. I understand that you help municipalities as well. So we have a building that we're looking to put the solar on it. We've been working toward that.
Yeah, I'm sure Leo will be in touch about that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Any questions?
I just have one. You were saying that one of the criteria you looked at for the your partners was that they were below market rate, or they were like below the average.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of guarantee that they're going to lock in at that rate? Because then you're also charging them $500, right? That to kind of fund
Find it.
your initiative. So how does that work?
So there isn't a way to lock in that price. We're sort of just, so companies right now already have a referral system available. Like if you are a person that gets a solar system through them and you refer your neighbor, and they complete the project, you're going to get $500 off of that. That's something that a lot of them have already existing. So we're sort of just building off of that. As
And
far
that's
as
why
the-
it's $500.
That's what
flat
it's five.
fee,
That's what it's
as
five.
opposed to like a percentage of how much the person.
Correct, correct.
Okay, because that's the standard practice.
Yeah, but then, okay, yeah.
Sorry, so the referral pricing is different, and actually some of the pricing could be higher, but Sustainable Westchester wanted to aim for a number that could help us operate, but be minimal, so that we can continue this program. And so in addition to that, as far as competitive pricing goes, we are offering residents 4 installer partners that have been qualified, and all 4 have to compete for the opportunity. So that is, in a way, ensuring that there's some competition and a good pricing being offered to the residents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to
you.
present.
Thank
It's that
you.
we've done it before, and we had Sustainable Westchester come speak, I think both 2023 and 2024, about the different energy programs, a lot of the different energy programs, because we like to be a green community and we like to help our residents save money. So it seems like a good partnership.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thanks.
And next, not to be outdone, we're going to be talking about a presentation by the experience of our clean heat program, where we installed some heat pumps in our Cedar Lane Art Center, which will soon have a solar program to support them, a solar system to support them. So Jack Oliver from.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jack Oliver. I'm from TRC. We're an engineering company, and we work on Experience Clean Heat for the state. We're the program implementers for NYSERDA, which is the New York State Energy and Research Development Authority. And I'm here to talk about Experience Clean Heat, which is kind of a hearts and minds campaign around heat pumps. So for those who aren't familiar, heat pumps are all electric way to heat and cool your home.
Just tell him when to switch.
Oh, yeah, will do. They're a all electric way to heat and cool your home. They're very efficient and provide comfort and health benefits to consumers. So for Experience Clean Heat, we're partnering with municipalities, organizations, and businesses throughout the state that have heat pumps currently in their businesses or their public space, to engage and kind of promote these spaces to the public, and provide kind of an educational experience. So we do this through increasing traffic to these sites through social media events, promotions, and giveaways. So for you, I believe the Cedar Lane Art Center has air source heat pumps. Next slide, please. So the program is completely free to participants. It's funded by NYSERDA and just relies on NYSERDA's approval. And essentially it's a marketing and social media program to promote your carbon and environmental leadership. Next slide. So at the moment we have, I think, as of today, 35 participating sites throughout the state, including Walkway of the Hudson, Mount Kisco Library, Vassar Colleges, Heartwood and Saltline, as well as Bard's Library. And we're looking to add more sites in the Mid-Hudson and Westchester region. Next slide, please. And this is kind of just a layout of where our current sites are throughout the state. This is slightly outdated. This was made in January, just before we did a big recruitment push. So next slide. Thanks. Okay. And then one of the core parts of the program is signage to kind of bring attention to the heat pumps in these spaces. So we offer a variety of sign options. Many have the organizations or businesses' name on it, and it's really just to bring attention to the use of heat pumps in these spaces. Part of this program is reliant on our research that we conducted that heat pump uptake has been lower than we had hoped due to primarily lack of awareness that heat pumps are an option, and that they are efficient and environmentally friendly. Next slide, please. So part of the program is a quick training with site-facing staff just to direct them. So when consumers come in, they know which way to point them. A lot of the existing signage does have QR codes on it. And we can work with you. We're creating flyers for our sites, which are kind of like pamphlets with some informational resources. And all the QR codes go to the New York State Clean Heat website, which is the incentive program website that's partly run by NYSERDA and the joint utilities. Next slide, please. And then, as I mentioned, it is a kind of a marketing campaign. So one of the core aspects of it is paid social media partnership. So these are two examples of our paid partnerships. The one on the left is with the Cornell Cooperative Extension of Tompkins County, and they have a powerhouse, which is like a demonstration environmentally friendly home with solar. And that's one example. And then the Springville Center for the Arts is another example that has geothermal system. Each site has 4 social media posts that rotate on a monthly basis. And the first 2 are graphics that can look similar to this, but are site dependent. And then the remaining 2 are dependent on signage you select. And a field ambassador would take photos of that signage and then use that for your social media campaign. Next slide. And then part of the campaign, this is an optional part. We do offer $2,500 up to $2,500 per site for engagement and activities and events. So this is an example of an event or a giveaway, social media giveaway we did with Artisanal Brew, which is located in Saratoga County. And the question was, guess how many pounds of refrigerant are in their heat pump system, and the person who guessed the closest won a $50 gift card, which was paid for by NYSERDA. Next slide, please. And then, as I mentioned, any links would take you to the New York State Clean Heat website, and alongside that, each location is listed on the New York State Clean Heat website. And that website gets about 200,000 views per month from different users. And Experience Clean Heat, if you look up through the incentive program, it tends to be one of the first hits as go visit a site near you to kind of experience heat pumps in action. And, yeah, next slide, please. So as I mentioned, each site receives 2,000 up to 2,500 per year for events, giveaways, and that could, and as I mentioned, we do have giveaways, but we also can work on you with events such as tabling, educational talks, tours. One such event we did with the Taconic Town Hall. Next slide, please. Was with our climate task force, where we presented on heat pumps, how heat pump technology works. And then we invited some local clean energy installers to come and speak on heat pumps, including those that are involved in the New York State Clean Heat Program, as well as those that are involved in Empower Plus, which is a low to moderate income program run by NYSERDA. And then we provided food and gift cards for that event. The gift cards were to local businesses. Alongside that, we also invited the Cornell Cooperative, which is one of NYSERDA's clean energy hubs, similar to Sustainable Westchester. Sustainable Westchester also runs a clean energy hub. And they came and spoke about weatherization and how that pairs with a heat pump. Next slide. And then similarly, we've also done other events such as tabling. This event, Springville Arts Crawl, was with the Springville Center for the Arts out near Buffalo. And they have a ground source heat pump system. So we kind of gave tours of their heat pump system and then answered any questions that people might have and then directed people to the New York State Clean Heat Program. We gave away gift cards to the Springville Center for the Arts for this. Next slide, please. And then, as I mentioned, there are sponsored social media posts that happen. There are 4 posts, but those go on the background with one rotating each month. And those are targeted towards social media users within like a 30-minute driving radius of the site. And you can't search those posts. Those posts are specifically targeted towards individual users. So at the end of each month, we provide a monthly report on the past month's activities. For example, this one with Artisanal Brew Works. These 2 posts reached 28,000 people.
Oh.
Next slide, please. And next. Next again. Thanks. So enrollment is pretty simple. I already went through the participation. I showed the participation agreement to Elizabeth. And there is also a application and some signage that you can select. The participation agreement is non-binding. And if you choose to leave the program, all materials will be removed from the website within 10 days. I can reshare the participation agreement. We do allow some redlining with the agreement, work with different requirements. Yeah, so that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
The
Next
heat
slide.
pumps run off electricity, right?
Yeah, they're fully
Is-
electric.
Is there an advantage to getting solar to provide the energy for the heat pump, or does it?
They pair well together. If you have solar, you can that can be one use of the solar for electricity rather than purchasing other fuels.
So you're aware that our art center is an art center and it is, you know, classes are scheduled on things, so it's not an open building.
Yeah.
So, but we do have a lot of art classes there, so that's how you're gonna get your numbers of people,
Yeah, so we promote your
the art
the
class.
social media would link to our website, which would then again link to your website. So people could learn more about the art classes that could generate additional interest and revenue in those classes potentially through that just by generating leads in that way.
And, one of the things that I know you had showed me when he did a tour of the art center to take a look. You know, just those little information bubbles underneath the heat pump. Hey, you know, what was a cute one for kids?
Um, if you go back a few slides, we have some examples.
Ask me how cool I am.
Yeah,
or,
there's,
You know,
yeah, they,
There's a
they
couple.
are, they ask
Back a
questions to
little
kind
more,
of
okay.
engage, back further.
keep going. I saw it like pretty,
Yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
it's- I'm
There you
cooler
go.
than
But
I look.
I'm
Check me
cooler
out.
than I look.
Or
Check
like-
me out.
Yeah.
So they had a few cute little things.
Yeah, we
Mm.
have some children's coloring sheets as well. We also have coasters, but that might not be completely applicable. But yeah, our signage is modifiable.
And, you know, putting a window clean on one of our 3,000 windows in the building.
Mhm.
I didn't think would be a heavy lift. The main event we have in that park is the water lily painting event. So if they wanted to partner, you know, when they have the drawing event, when the art council and the recreation department partner together for that event, maybe they can bring in something to enhance it and attract more people, go to the event, and, you know, at that point, we can have somebody at the building to, you know, give tours of, hey, look how cool it is. It's an art building, so, you know, I didn't think we needed any, you know, standing signs in the way, but anything that's on the wall or I thought would be
Good idea.
appropriate, you know, as long as they understand this is not a building people could just go up to and walk into,
Yep.
Yeah, like,
so.
Good.
And, you know, as part of our, you know, we'd like to do our part to get to that goal for New York State. And to help our residents really understand, you know, solarizing and putting the two together, and, you know, our clerk has both and she pays nothing. She's very happy,
Yeah,
so.
there are definitely advantages if you
partner,
install
yeah,
it correctly.
Good, good.
So we can
We
go
can go
forward
forward.
with
Yes.
signing. Okay, I didn't want to commit us to anything without talking to our board first.
No, it's non-binding. We get it any time, but
Yep.
looks like a good idea.
I will resend over the participation agreement.
Okay, I will sign it now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Alan.
is Mike here? Okay. And the last thing we have on our agenda is our assessor, Mike Fossier, with his departmental report. And they've been so busy these last few months with all the exemptions and helping all of our seniors, and I'm very proud of that department.
Full revow.
And the full and a full reval, yes. So not to discount all the work that they've been doing with Tyler to make sure that the properties are properly valued, and all the people who they talk to about their thoughts on their evaluations. Hi, Mike.
Oh, good evening, folks. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me just a moment, if you please. Right. All right. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Well, again, good evening. Thank you for giving me just a few minutes to report on the sort of state of the department and where we are with the tentative assessment role. This comes at a really good time here at the last week or so of May. We're just closing out the tentative assessment role. And it's been a lot of work since the fall. As everyone knows, it's a full reappraisal this year. And it's a little different in many ways, and we'll get into that in just a few moments. You know, some of the ways are that we use a new comp selection model. We calibrate and review all properties, re-estimating land values, re-estimating cost factors. A lot of commercial appraisal work was done during this season. Of course, all of the permits for alterations, new buildings, and demolitions, they were reviewed. We received advisory appraisals from the state of New York for our utility and special franchise properties, updated owner information, processed a slew of splits and mergers, created a condo this year, and of course, sent out change of assessment notices in April. In the world of exemptions, of course, we mailed postcards, renewals, and reminders to all of our existing exemption recipients, and of course, trying to get the good word out to all homeowners about the programs that they should be thinking about and taking advantage of. Of course, receiving lots of inquiries this year. So just as a recap, of course, we have just over 10,180 parcels. There was an increase of about 4 parcels this year. Of course, naturally, and 95% of those are in the taxable category. We do have 4% of our roll by count as wholly exempt, just 1% of utilities, and a fraction of a percent for special franchise and taxable state land. This breaks down in the following ways. A residential, we have 6,851 1, 2, and 3 family properties. 1932, that's the total condo co-op count. Vacant land at 486, commercial at 400, apartment buildings 165, so on and so forth. I wanted to just shed some light on the state of the Ossining real estate market. You know, I've been speaking with realtors, folks in the community, and despite interest rates remaining stubbornly high, depending on who you ask, you know, we're seeing, you know, not as much cooling as we had originally anticipated last year. There was significant growth in the median sale price. This is thanks to our friends at Houlihan Lawrence. They produce these wonderful market reports. As the assessor's office, we like to rely on both our own internal analysis, but also market data from industry leaders. And, you know, we're seeing a significant increase from 23 to 24 in sale price and a reduction in the number of sales. So the demand is still very strong. And folks are paying over ask, sometimes as much as 5 or 7% or more. Days on market 5 years ago would have been close to 40 days. Now we're seeing it less than 20. And that's just the market we're in still. That was Ossining. This is Briarcliff Manor, very similar. They have far fewer sales, but the pattern is similar. The median sale price is at an all-time high, highest in the past 10 years at just 1.143 million. That's that median sale price. And just like in Ossining, we're finding that homes that are at the more entry point of value for the communities, they're the ones that are appreciating at a more rapid rate. So it wasn't unusual this year, folks, when we did our comp sales analysis, to see homes in Ossining between 450 and 550 or 600 appreciating faster than the higher end of that market. The same was true in Briarcliff, the homes at 700,000 to 900,000, some of our raised ranches, some of our splits, smaller properties of under, you know, 1,400 square feet, they were actually appreciating more than the $2.5 to $3 million properties that you would see in the estate area. Now, this is not unusual. I've conferred with my colleagues in other towns. You know, we are seeing some of the cooling at the highest end of the market, but again, demand is still very strong. And we saw that in the assessed value increases for this year. Just a real quick recap. 2020 was our last reappraisal. And, you know, we've received many calls from homeowners, and that's part of what we do. We have no objection to taking calls, explaining assessments to folks. We certainly understand that in any given year, if your assessment increases, that could cause a little discomfort. But while we can't always change what the market's doing, we can at least explain how we get to the number. And that's the goal of the assessor's office, is not always to provide the answer everybody wants to hear, but at least afford everyone the opportunity to discuss their value with us and to try to understand where we're coming from and how we arrive at that value. Everyone has that right. And so we've spent a lot of time over the last couple of months doing just that in collaboration with Tyler Technologies. So even where we saw more variability this year on any given block from house to house with regard to percent change increases, we did our best to control the volatility that was unnecessary, tamping down very large double-digit increases wherever possible. And this was the result. Here is the tentative assessment roll, if you will, in a property type grid. So again, with the residential properties, we saw an overall aggregate change in value of about 7%. The average change was 8%. With commercial, with the exception of a few categories below where, for example, public services, we had a large amount of fiber optic that was reported by the state. That category increased a bit more. But we saw, again, very modest 1 to 3% increases in commercial. That's not unusual. The CoStar data that we were using and some of the income and expense forms that were returned to our office indicated that, well, certainly rents are up in apartment buildings, so too are expenses. And so we had to reconcile these various components. And getting to one of my favorite things that we do, we conduct a sales ratio analysis. And this is something the state of New York does to sort of test whether or not we're meeting the standard, the industry standard of plus or minus 5% around sale price. And when they looked at our 200 plus sales that we relied on to perform this analysis, we were at about 97, 98% of full market value, which meets their standard. I have no serious doubts that we're going to not be at 100%, but it's always nice to run these reports, run the analysis before the state does, and that when they do, that our numbers are lining up. So, again, our state aid depends on it. This is a reappraisal year. So the good news is that the state of New York will issue up to $5 per parcel. Okay, it's up to. Every time we apply for state aid, it can change because of the amount of funds that are available in any given period. But, this is one of the reasons why we try to stay at 100%. It's an incentive to the town to keep our assessments fair and equitable. And with regard to equity, the horizontal equity in the roll, just in terms of properties of similar locational and physical characteristics being valued similarly, well, we have a very low coefficient of dispersion. It's just under 5%, which is really excellent. I applaud my staff for their sales review and also Tyler for helping us with our mass appraisal models. The price related differential is very, very good. There's very little regressivity in the role where we're not significantly undervaluing the high end of the market at the expense of the lower end. So that's that vertical equity that we want to see in the assessment role. That's very positive. And in the world of exemptions, we actually have, we're finalizing this week. I don't have a total number yet, but I can tell you, having sat with some of the data and with our assessment clerk, we do have a record number of senior citizens applying and receiving the senior citizen exemption. Our not-for-profits, clergy, volunteer, firefighter, and ambulance workers, and veteran exemptions, we've processed all of those. I'm glad to say that for the most part, that was a smooth process. For the public, anyone listening, of course, feel free to visit our website or call us. The deadline is May 1st each year, but if you missed it this time, reach out. We'll be happy to pair you with any benefits that you might qualify for. It's really important to engage with us. It only takes a few minutes, and you never know, there could be a benefit for you that you haven't taken advantage of yet. Were some changes in 2025. Westchester County made 2 notable changes to the way we were going to process exemptions for their part of the bill. They opted in to one of the provisions in RP 467, the senior citizen exemption, where they're asking municipalities not to include Social Security income for calculating income for the purposes of the exemption. So we have 63 seniors now receiving, well, at the very least, county benefit, who would otherwise have been ineligible because the combination of their Social Security, interest and dividends, and their other income would have put them above the 58,400. So the county doing that, we did see a few, more seniors qualify. They also, at the county level, opted into the provision where we can grant a resident of Ossining the volunteer firefighter exemption on the county part of the bill, even if they volunteer for a fire service outside of Ossining. It doesn't apply, to the town or to the village or the school, but it does apply to the county portion of the bill. And they did pass that for 2025. And lastly, the Briarcliff School District, they adopted the volunteer firefighter exemption. So that's good news to the folks who were looking to see that change. All right. Folks, do you have any questions? I know I went through that fairly quickly and it's already 9 o'clock, so I didn't want to make it too long.
All right, no, as always, you know, you've done a very thorough job and an excellent job at explaining the processes that you go through to get to the numbers that you do. I know you've been working hand in hand with residents who had questions. It's deeply appreciated. So can you just talk about if a resident still disagrees with their assessment, what their next step would be?
That's a great point, and actually comes at a very good time. In about a week and a half, we're going to publish the tentative assessment roll on June 1st. And at that time, if homeowners, property owners are not satisfied with their assessment, if they disagree, for example, they think their assessment's excessive, they still have rights to challenge, by filing a grievance. They can do that anytime from, well, I guess Monday the 2nd through the 17th of June, which is grievance day. We'll be meeting this year at 16 Croton Ave between 4:30 and 8:30 p.m. It's not required that property owners attend. They can always submit their RP 524s, the grievance form, which you can find on our website. They can always submit those through the mail or just drop them off. But if you have any questions about how to challenge your assessment, feel free to give my office a call. We'll be happy to assist.
Okay, and we have a Board of Assessment Review that will be, a local volunteer board that will be looking of real estate agents and other people who understand the valuations, that will be sitting down independently of the assessor's office, looking at these numbers and looking at the situation for the residents that don't agree. Okay.
I have a question. It's kind of piggybacking on what you just mentioned, Liz. So especially the two slides that refer to the state of the Ossining and Briarcliff real estate market. Does the town, like, is this public information? Like anybody can look up this report and like, the real estate agents or people that do valuations? Is this information available to?
Yes. Absolutely. In fact, the reason I cite and I give them credit for the report down at the bottom is that this is something they publish. Houlihan Lawrence does, but so does Douglas Elliman. There are various real estate websites that offer these high quality market reports, and they do focus on river towns. You can select Ossining or Briarcliff Manor, and they tailor these statistics for whichever town or village you're looking at. So this is available on their website. And of course, we publish our own trends, which we'll do sometime shortly after the tentative roll is out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And just to add on that, how you doing, Mike? Thank you for the clear report. The state of the Ossining real estate market, that's the village and the town together, right?
Right, so I believe so. The way they cut it, I believe it's 10562. I do believe it's inclusive of, because the sales count to me appeared to be both village and town outside. I can get clarification on that.
Okay.
But that's my understanding, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
So by zip code.
By zip code.
No, thanks, Mike. My pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike.
Of course, folks, have a good night. Take care.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up our our work session for the evening. I hope everybody got a chance to vote. Our next meeting will be the 10th, no.
27th, next
Thank
Wednesday,
you.
next Tuesday, excuse me.
All right, next Tuesday, 27th at the courthouse. For legislative.
The day after Memorial Day, yes.
Oh, God. Great. We'll see you then. Okay, have a good, happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all who served, and let's all remember, as everybody's barbecuing, those who gave all, so that we have the freedoms that we do have.
Motion to
Second.
go into executive session for advice of counsel, contracts and pending litigation, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.